Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Office of the Patriot. In this office, I try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left and RINO right. I've said this more than a few times on a number of my presentations. The Democrat Party and the deep state, which are basically one and the same, are using a multi-prong approach to circumvent the will of the people by controlling the flow of information when they can and tainting and subverting it when they can't stop it. And I spoke to this briefly in episode 50, Yellow Journalism, How the Democrat Party Controls the Media. And in this episode of Office of the Patriot, I'm going to go over how the Democrat Party is using a complicit legacy media and major social media platforms to not only control what you see and hear, but also what you say. I'm sure some of you have heard this phrase in one form or another. Nobody ever changed someone else's mind over what they argued on the internet. In fact, I have a close friend who stays out of politics because he believes this to his core. He feels that people pretty much have their minds made up, and arguing with somebody on the internet is much like self-flagellation on your own groin. And I get it. Sometimes I feel that way. I mean, I'm 107 videos in and I don't have a penny to show for it, but I'm still producing. But all evidence points to the contrary. The deep state and the Democrat Party have invested billions of dollars into controlling what people see and hear, and now with the growth of social media platforms, what they can say as well. Now more than ever, the country needs to embrace the tenets of the First Amendment. Free speech, unbiased news reporting, and uncensored social media platforms given the upcoming election. But the reality is we are very far from the tenets of the First Amendment. So to see where we are as a country, we should go over some of the stats regarding where people get their news from and who they get it from. According to the Pew Research Center, and as a reminder, all sources are available in the description section below. According to the Pew Research Center, more than 8 out of 10 Americans get their news from the internet. This is a huge departure from traditional news sources, and I'm sure some of the news that is being consumed comes from major television news networks that have a strong online presence. However, a little over half of the people who get their news online get it from social media via search engines, specifically Google. And that brings me to my next point. Google and most social media platforms, in my opinion, are in violation of antitrust law. Not in the traditional sense that they are price fixing or even collaborating with each other. However, they are collaborating with the deep state and the Democrat Party to silence conservative voices and limit positive news regarding conservative candidates. I'm sure you've seen a number of online commentators also speak to this, so I decided to do my own test just to see what I would find. I picked an arbitrary phrase, Donald Trump news, and I put that into the Google search box, and this is what I found. Supreme Court nixes effort to stall Trump's sentencing in hush money case, and even Fox News had to get on that action. Headline after headline, all showing negative news about Trump. Now I type in Kamala Harris news, and what do I find? Harris plans to announce VP presidential choice, which she's already done. Why a swing state Republican mayor backs her. Virtually every news link for her has a positive article about her or her campaign. Legacy and social media are only letting you see and hear news they want you to see and hear. But it's actually significantly more nefarious than that. Recently, Joe Rogan was doing an interview with Michael Malice where he was talking about Harris and how the media is carrying her water. In the interview, Rogan was referred to how bad of a job Harris did as vice president, and then all of a sudden, she's the new hope of the Democrat Party. You can see he doesn't like Kamala Harris as a presumptive presidential candidate for the Democrat Party. As the interview moves forward, Rogan infers that given the media's bias claiming Trump is bad and the pushing of this extended honeymoon for Harris, that she will likely win. He was referring to the exact same point I made a couple of seconds ago. The media is only showing you what they want you to see. And that's why he believes she will win. I happen to agree with Malice in this case, in that she could win, but that'll be dependent upon Republican turnout and the lack of legitimate oversight of the voting processes. But that's a whole other episode. Well, MSNBC decided to stretch the truth, or decided that stretching the truth just wasn't going to cut it, so they outright lied. And they went and merged clips of the interview with Michael Malice with one that he did where he was touting the accomplishments of Tulsi Gabbard. Check this out.
Not sure if you guys caught this, but MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. They deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
This is not reflective at all of the truth of what Joe Rogan said. And I think MSNBC has since taken this post down. But what's really serious here is that not only does Joe Rogan deserve an apology, there's actually something far bigger at stake here. This is yet another example of how MSNBC is working hand in glove with the Democrat elite and the Kamala Harris campaign to try to spread lies, simply things that are not true.
MSNBC has since taken down the video and allegedly apologized to Rogan. However, I believe Rogan is still taking them to court, so we'll have to see what happens there. And while Rogan is a victim in this case, truthfully, so are all Americans who were exposed to this propaganda. Remember the friend I referred to earlier where he said, if you've already got your mind made up, no one on the internet is going to change it. Well, a significant amount of Americans do not have their mind made up as it relates to who they're going to vote for in the 2024 election, or even if they're going to vote at all. According to the Pew Research Center, approximately 20% of the voting population in the United States is still undecided. Looking at the numbers from the 2020 election, over 154 million people voted, and 20% of that is just under 31 million. Those numbers will easily tip the scales towards one candidate over another. This means that the information these people are getting in real time from now until the day of the election is going to have an impact on their thought process regarding each candidate, and by virtue of that, their vote. So, if you haven't made up your mind about who you're going to vote for, either Trump or Harris, and all you're seeing is negative news about Trump and the false accolades of Harris, then it's kind of a no-brainer that Harris is going to scoop up a significant portion of that 20% that's undecided. My friends, this is the very definition of election interference at the behest of the Democrat Party. And that's why I believe legacy media and social media are in violation of antitrust laws. These laws were designed to protect the American consumer, and we are consuming the news. And if the fix is in, then the only news we're going to get is what the overlords want us to see. Unless you happen to stumble onto my Pissant channel, which challenges pretty much everything that legacy media and most social media influencers put out on a regular basis. I'm going to close with this. In order to be legitimately informed about who you're going to vote for, you're going to have to look outside of legacy media and social media giants like MSNBC, CNN, ABC, and even Fox News. And I know that's probably contrary to what you've grown accustomed to, because at one point in time, legacy media did have the American people's best interests at heart. But that time has passed. This concludes today's presentation of Office of the Patriot. If you enjoy the content, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share my channel on your social media. It's appreciated. Further, please take the time to comment. Engagement is the major metric that social media platforms like YouTube and Rumble use to promote certain channels in their algorithm. The more people that like, subscribe, and comment, the more likely the Office of the Patriot channel will come up when social and political topics like this are searched for. And as always, have a blessed day. Stay safe out there.